He was all over Japan, but I think he spent most of his time in Nagasaki.
So we're in, what, April or August
It
1945?
was August 1945, and he was aboard ship, and of course it was going to be the invasional forces heading towards Japan, and unbeknownst to them, you know, the Enola Gay, or the atomic bomb was on Tinian Island, and it was all hush-hush, but they had heard rumors of the war coming to a quick end with the use of a special weapon, and they were aboard ship outside of Japan when the bombs were dropped, so they became an occupational force rather than an invading force. He got around a lot on foot and by jeep, but then he ended up obtaining a horse. I think he traded cigarettes for a horse, and that horse took him all over the country, really.
And was he attached to a unit as an official military photographer, or was he a soldier who just happened to take pictures?
No, his job was photography. He was a Marine combat photographer.
I see.
And he was assigned to a certain unit, and you know, one of the joys of being a photographer is you're kind of you're the exception, because you need to say, I need to go there and get these pictures, I need to go there and get those pictures, where everyone else was following the orders of their superiors, you know. So he had a little bit of leeway. He said he never saw another photographer in Japan. Of course, we know there were others there, but he said he never ran into another photographer when he was there.
Can you imagine that? You know, I wanted to ask you about one photograph that I think is so etched in many of our minds. It's a young boy with a baby in his backpack. Could you tell us about that photograph?
It wasn't until the early mid-90s when he started pulling out all the photos of victims. And I remember coming home from school, and on the kitchen table he had that photograph of the boy and his dead brother. And I said, you know, the little kid's sleeping. And he said, no, he's not sleeping, he's dead. And I don't think Dad knew the power of that photograph at the time. It was just another one of many that he had. But when the Japanese saw it, it really became a symbol of Japan back in that day. The strictness of the boy standing erect with his hands at his side, him biting his lip, him not showing any emotion, and doing his duty to cremate his little brother. I think Japan, even today, looks at that photograph and sees self in it.
How many photographs, just in general, did he take, and how many of those did he keep for his own?
He took hundreds.
Given to the government, copies of those, or were some?
I believe so. No, I think he sent them all, even the pictures of the victims. I think he sent everything.
But he kept the negatives.
He kept the negatives, or he made copies, developed copies, or made duplicates, and kept them for himself.
Yeah. It's fascinating, you know, when you say like 100 photos, that doesn't sound like very many in 2009, but of course, 60-some years ago, each photograph was a process. It wasn't like a little digital camera snapping away with a shutter speed.
You had to make each photo count. You know, he developed his pictures in toilets, in sinks, in creeks, whatever he could find. But the thing is, you look at other pictures from other people of the devastation or the victims, they're more documented photographs.
Yeah.
Where you look at Dad's photographs, and people call it tragic art.
Yeah.
I mean, he used his mind's eye in these photos, and the photography of especially the people is really artwork. It's not something that, you know, you'd see in a newspaper, in a news story. This is art. It's tragic art.
It's really moving. It's even emotionally exhausting,
it
actually, to be a human being with any empathy and look through your dad's camera at what he saw. I mean, I developed a sense of a man with tremendous compassion who had the ability to communicate through art what other people weren't even expressing because they were expressionless, by and large. He somehow got them posed in a way, and the angles that he used to make the pain come out. It's really powerful stuff.
It is.
He was a brilliant artist.